Hello and welcome to Narayana IAS. I'm Pratik, your faculty for daily news analysis. Students, in today's DNA session, we have picked up the three most important topics from the Hindu and the Indian Express. So let me quickly take you through these topics so that you understand the topics that we'll be taking and which all dimensions we'll be covering under these articles, right? The first topic is food sufficient India needs to be hunger free. So there were two articles in the Hindu editorial. What I've done is I've clubbed both these articles and framed a comprehensive article, right? So in this article, we'll understand about the food security situation of a country, the affordability and accessibility of healthy and nutritious foods, which are the challenges that India is facing, all these dimensions, right? The second article we have been discussed about the Nobel Peace Prize awarded to an institution that is fighting for nuclear disarmament, right? So what exactly is nuclear disarmament? We'll discuss in the second article. Third article, now here the government of India has released greenwashing guidelines, right? And these guidelines are for the companies or all the companies who manufacture products. So what exactly is this greenwashing and which are the guidelines given by the government of India? We'll discuss it in the third topic, and finally we'll discuss few questions so that you understand the type of questions UPSC may ask. Students, make sure that you are very fresh before watching these three topics. Only when you're fresh, you'll be in a position to comprehend and understand the article, right? So make yourself free, fresh, and then start watching the DNA session. Let's start with the first topic. So this is the article. However, I have not pasted the photo of the second article, which I told you that I have clubbed the two articles, right? One below the other. You may find it on Hindu page number 8. Now, yes. So as I told you, in this we'll understand about the food security situation of our country. What one understands by food security. And this topic is important for mains, not prelims. In mains, we have GS paper 2. Under GS paper 2, under governance and social justice, we have issues relating to poverty and hunger. Poverty and hunger, right? So this is how you need to learn how to map a topic with the UPSC syllabus. Got it? Okay. Previous question asked in the year 2018, how far do you agree with the view that the focus on the lack of availability of food as a main cause of hunger takes the attention away from ineffective human development policies in India? Such a wonderfully framed question. Maybe you might be confused or in a position not to understand the question, but the question talks about challenges relating to food or food security for that matter. With the view, so here the question is, do you agree with the view that focus on the lack of availability of the food, which means here the point to focus is accessibility of food as a main cause of hunger, takes the attention away from the ineffective human development, which means is it because of lack of food the human development is getting affected? So it's a very wonderfully framed question. But once we discuss all the dimensions under the first topic, you'll be in a better position to address such type of questions, right? So yeah, so what is the context? The World Food Day 2024. This World Food Day talks about the equitable agri-food system, which means this World Food Day is talking about the accessibility to healthy food, to the nutritious food, accessibility of food to the vulnerable sections of the society. This year's Food Day is talking about these challenges to address issues such as food insecurity and malnutrition. What is malnutrition? That is the deficiency of nutrition. Nutrition such as vitamins, minerals. For example, we have B12 vitamin, then we have proteins, fats, carbohydrates. Now see, India since independence has made a remarkable, or India has achieved a remarkable feat, especially since independence, in achieving food security. What do you mean by this food security? Which means post independence, we were not in a position to produce food by our own, which means in order to meet the demand of food to the people of our country, we had to import food. We had to get the food from other countries. We were a food deficit country where insecurity was existing. Why? Because you do not know if you'll get food or no. The food production was not meeting the demand of the society. That's the reason we used to import. But now we are in a situation where we can produce our own food, and this food is in a position to meet the demands of the society. Now, despite achieving remarkable success or making India a food secure country, few challenges persist, such as resource degradation, climate change, and limited market access. We'll discuss about all these challenges in the next few slides, right? These are few challenges we'll discuss, like we have separate heading to discuss the challenges. Achieving true food sufficiency requires not just producing adequate food. Now, this point tries to state that achieving food sufficiency doesn't mean that we are in a position to produce enough food. No, it also means that the food that we produce should be reached or should be accessed by the most vulnerable and marginalized community, like the, let's say, women, let's say like the SC community, the ST community, likewise. And that's the reason the focus of a country should be towards sustainable agriculture practices. What do you mean by sustainable agriculture practices? Which means these practices should be environment friendly, which means, let's say, we use a lot of chemicals, right? Whenever we sow the crops, we produce food, we use lot many chemicals. We are using groundwater, excess groundwater. So the practices have to be environment friendly. In short, the context intends to say that we are a food sufficient country, yes, but the vulnerable sections of the society do not have access towards, or do not have access to healthy food, right? So this is the context. Now, this World Food Day 2020, what is the theme? The theme is Right to Food for a Better Life and Better Future. This is the theme of this year, right, or World Food Day. What is the focus? Access, that is getting a chance to have safe, nutritious and affordable food, which means the vulnerable section should have access to proper food or healthy food or nutritious food. Importance, ensuring food security for all, which means here we intend to make all the world, or for that matter countries, food secure country, so as to combat or fight the problems such as hunger, malnutrition, etc. Now, first and foremost, let us try to understand what is food security. Okay. What exactly one understands by food secure country? Which means each and every individual, not only in our country but the entire world, should have sufficient enough food to fill his stomach. Safe, not adulterated food. Sufficient, safe and nutritious food at all times for a healthy life. which means he should not be fighting for food. Food is something that he should be least concerned about. Having safe and nutritious food. This is food security. For example, the poor people, despite working hard, they find it difficult to access safe food. Even if they're in a position to access food, the food is not safe. The food is contaminated. The purpose is to provide safe food. As I told you, India was a food deficient country after independence, but now we are a food surplus country, which means we have so much of food that we also export to other countries. And this happened because of Green Revolution in the 1960s. Now, this Green Revolution was implemented in northern part of a country, especially states like Haryana, right? Now, here the government focused on high quality seeds. The government gave money to the farmers to, use groundwater for pumps so that they can dig the ground and extract the water, because of which the food production increased in our country because of Green Revolution. Now, according to the 2024 report, 733 million people globally face hunger, and India is a significant contributor. Such statistics, students, very important to mention in your mains answer. The moment you substantiate your points with such facts, trust me, you'll get zero point 0.5 marks extra. So it is important to substantiate your points with such facts or data, right? Now, India, for example, the government of India launched this National Food Security Act 2013. What is the purpose of this act? National Food Security Act. That is to make people food secure. Which means here the government of India so far has got 800 million people. How? By providing subsidized grains for 2 rupees, 1 kg, 2 rupees. Right? So subsidized grains, that is providing grains at a lower cost through the public distribution system. This you will study in Indian economy. Public distribution. This is a policy of the government of India where government provides subsidized grains, that is grains like wheat, rice at a lower cost. Fortified rice distribution from July 2024 aims to tackle malnutrition. See, fortified food. What is fortified rice? Which means, see, the rice that we eat is rich in carbohydrates, but the micronutrients is missing in the rice, which means if you eat rice, your stomach is full. You eat rice and dal, your stomach gets full, but where are the micronutrients? See, for a healthy body you need both macro as well as micronutrients, isn't it? Macronutrients, which means carbohydrate, protein, fats, isn't it? Micronutrient, which means vitamins and minerals, calcium, magnesium, potassium, zinc. These are micronutrients. So when you eat rice, you only get carbs. You're not getting proteins. For example, it is said that a person should have protein of the quantity as equal to his weight, which means if a person is weighing, let's say 50 kg, then he should have 50 grams of protein in a day. So for a healthy person, macro as well as micronutrition is important. That's the reason the government of India is fortifying rice, which means with the help of technology, the government of India is making the rice nutritious. How? By fortifying rice. That is by injecting nutrition into the rice. This is fortified rice. Why? So as to make sure that the people are eating nutritious food. That is, they also get this vitamins and minerals and not only carbohydrates. So the point is, India is a food sufficient country, but somewhere equitable access remains a challenge, which means the poor people are not in a position to access healthy, safe and nutritious food. This is the problem that still we are facing. Now, this global hunger index in India. Now, India performed poorly in this global hunger index. Now, this is an index that actually ranks countries based on malnutrition, child stunting, child wasting and child mortality. Based on these indicators, this global hunger index ranks countries and India has performed very poorly, which means the ranking of India in the global hunger index is the same as that of some of the poorest countries in the world. For example, we have many countries in the sub-Saharan Africa, right? So the India's ranking is very, very poor based on these indicators. However, the Indian government has criticized heavily. Indian government says that this index is not reflecting India's status properly. It says that the hunger situation is not reflected properly in this global hunger index. Now, for example, as per the NSSO, 3.2% of the population are not consuming at least 1 square meal per day, which means 1 square meal per day. They are not even consuming 1 square meal per day. Now, this is a very, very important statistics. Please make a note of it. What is NSSO? National Statistics Sample Survey. Around 3.45 crore Indians fall into these category. 3.5 crore Indians, this equates to 2.5% of the population. This is a very, very important statistics. Make sure. So again, you do not have to, be a part of the controversy. You just have to mention that India failed or India got a very poor ranking in the global hunger index. Am I clear? Okay. Now let us try to discuss challenges in the India's agriculture sector, or which are the challenges because of which accessibility, affordability remains a big challenge in our country. First is agriculture sector challenges. Of course, the food is, produced by the agriculture sector, right? So agriculture, this sector produces food for the people of our country. Now, the first problem is out of 93 million agrarian households, which means 93 million houses where agriculture helps them to get money and food on the table. 93 million agriculture households. Agriculture is the primary occupation in 93 million families. 82% are small and marginal. 82% are small and marginal, which means these 82% have land size less than 2 acres. 2 acres of land. This affects the productivity and income. For example, let's say you have this huge tract of land, which means you can sow multiple crops, which means your revenue raises. For example, if you have huge, let's say 15 acres of land, it is affordable to use tractors, machines, solar pumps, water pump. Why? Because the land is huge. You sow more crops, the productivity is high, more income, more profits. But let's say, for example, you have a very small, let's say 1.5 acre of land. Now, this small acre of land is not suitable to use, let's say, tractors or for that matter, water pump. This affects the productivity and income as well. Very important. Then second is overuse of groundwater and chemical fertilizers. People are using more and more groundwater. Scant regard to the importance of water or for that matter chemical fertilizers in order to increase the productivity or making sure to keep the insects or rodents at bay, they are using more and more chemicals. But more and more chemicals is increasing the toxicity, is making the crops poisonous. Resource degradation, climate change. Because of frequent droughts and floods, it is affecting the productivity of agriculture, productivity of crops. We have witnessed frequent floods, frequent droughts. So let's say, for example, if there are floods, what happens? The agricultural land gets swarmed by water. The crops get destroyed completely. Now, when the crops are getting destroyed, what does it mean? That the agriculture productivity is taking a hit, which means now there is a problem of food availability. There's no food. Why? Because of floods, because of droughts, the crops got damaged. Next problem. I told you in the context that I'll be discussing the challenges in the next few slides. So this is the challenges part that we're discussing. Now, first, second, third, fourth, market access. Now see, what happens is, let's say you live in a village. Now you produce certain crops, you grow certain crops. Now you want to sell these crops. Now, in order to make sure that your crop gets the best price, you have to go to the market, so that whoever is ready to buy crops at the rate that you demand will sell your crops to them, right? Which means you need access to the market. For access, you need vehicles, you need tractors. But if you do not have tractors, you are forced to sell your crops at the rate the market, or let's say the buyers want it. Which means, let's say now you do not have a tractor to take your crops to the, let's say, district market or agriculture mandi. So what happens is, someone from the mandi comes in your village and tells you that, okay, I'll buy your crops at this rate. You want more money, but he's giving you less money. Now you do not have money to go and sell it at agriculture mandi. So what you do? You are forced to sell your crops at less rate. Had the government helped you with infrastructure, with proper roads and vehicles, you could have sold your crops at the agriculture mandis, getting more money. But because of no market access, the small farmers are suffering. They are getting less money. Then let's talk about the nutritional and dietary challenges. So far we discussed agricultural challenges. Now discuss nutritional and dietary challenges. See, first is unhealthy diet. See, people are eating only food. For example, if you are hungry, what you do? You go out, you eat pizza, you eat burger, or let's say you eat the street food. This is what you do. You eat chole kulche. Most of these foods are junk. So here you are eating food, you are filling your stomach, but the food you are eating is unhealthy. It's not a balanced diet, which means you are not eating. I told you the difference between macro and micro, which means your food has no protein, no vitamin, no mineral, no good fats. It's just that you're filling your stomach. And all the impurities or impure food that you eat, adulterated food that you eat, it affects your body. For example, the oil that the people who make food on the streets use is highly adulterated oil. They use the same oil for so many days. Are you getting my point? So this unhealthy ingredients they use, it affects your body. Affordability of healthy diets. Now, healthy diet, what do you mean? Let's say if I talk about vegetarian diet, it's proteins, it's soya, groundnuts, vegetables, fruits. These are healthy foods, which means, let's say for example, dals, it gives you protein, right? Let's say rajma, chole, it gives you protein, right? Then fruits and vegetables, it gives you vitamins and minerals, which means it is important for the people to have these food. But these foods are not affordable. They are very, very expensive. Talking of dry fruits, they're so expensive. 1 kg almond you get for 1000 rupees. 1 kg akroad you get for 1600 rupees. So the cost of healthy diet in South Asia is as high as 60% of the daily per capita income. So if I'm earning 60 rupees or let's say 100 rupees in a day, more than 60 rupees I have to spend for eating healthy food. If I spend 60 rupees for eating healthy food, so how can I invest money to my, or let's say for the children's education? This is a problem. 64% of rural Indian household cannot afford a healthy diet. They simply cannot afford a healthy diet. This is the nutritional challenge. We discussed the agricultural challenge. We are discussing the nutritional challenges. Now, India's progress in food security and safety. Now, this is what we already discussed. For example, as part of National Food Security Act and Public Distribution System, what we discussed is that the government of India is helping how by giving subsidized grains, let's say wheat, rice, dal, right? Pigeon peas, or let's say arhar ki dal, tur dal, or pigeon peas in English. So government of India is giving these grains at affordable rate, at subsidized rate, that is 2 rupees per kg, 1 rupees per kg, like that. At the same time, the government of India, in order to enhance the nutritional value, is fortifying rice. For example, people in the south, they eat more rice. So government is fortifying rice, that is making sure that the rice is nutritious. Then white revolution, that is in dairy, right? We are the world's highest producer of milk. Then blue transformation, that is in fisheries, have contributed significantly to diversifying food sources, which means now in order to eat healthy food, either you can eat vegetarian food or non-vegetarian food. The point is, we are diversifying our food sources. We have multiple foods. For example, we have millets, excellent source of macro as well as micronutrients, right? And for that, to make sure that the government of India is providing affordable food and healthy food, here we have the Food Agriculture Organization, International Fund for Agriculture Development, and the World Food Program. These institutions are working with our government to ensure people eat healthy, safe and nutritious food. I hope you got this point. So we discuss this National Food Security Act, and then you can also see we discuss the challenges, the agriculture challenges, nutritional challenges. Now, in order to tackle hunger and nutrition, what is the government of India doing, or what steps the government of India has introduced? You can mention about the National Food Security Act, food rice fortification. Then here you can mention about PM Garib Kalyan Yojana, which was very instrumental during the COVID times when people lost jobs, had nothing to eat. Under this Yojana, government of India ensured that people get food. Then we have this mission for integrated development of horticulture, right? So as to make sure that the food production is sustainable. So as at this point, collective responsibility. Food sufficiency doesn't mean we have enough food. Food sufficiency also means that the food that we produce should be accessible by the vulnerable sections like the tribal people, the SC community people, the women, the children, the old aged people, etc. Social safety nets and market intervention. Social safety net, that is, for example, if when people get retired, they work until 50s, 55, 60s. Once they get retired, they have no source of income. Now here the government of India should step in and should help these people who are retired or old aged people. And market interventions are necessary to avoid the situation of hunger, right? Now, way forward. So we discussed the issues, we discussed the steps government of India has taken. Now let's discuss the way forward. What else we need to do in future? First, Yes, the green revolution was successful, no doubt, especially with respect to wheat and rice. Yes, we achieved food sufficiency. But here again care has to be taken that the food should be accessible by the marginalized population like the tribal and the women, old aged people. Sustainable practices. The practices that we follow, that is the traditional practices that we follow, should be done away with. What is traditional practice? More usage of water, more usage of chemicals. No, this has to be stopped. The government of India should help the farmers to shift towards organic farming, crop diversification. The many farmers, majority of the farmers, they sow the same crop. It's sugarcane, soya bean, etc. So here the government of India should help the farmers to diversify their crops. Different types of crop should be sown so as to avail the nutritive value. Organic farming, less usage of chemicals. Water conservation and reducing chemical inputs. Right. So sustainable agriculture practices, which means using less water. Integrating technology, we should use technology for that so that you use or reduce the usage of water, reducing the intake of chemicals, strengthening infrastructure. In order to provide market access, we have to focus on infrastructure like roads, storage facilities and cold chains, which means, let's say for example, a farmer, he harvests the crops. Now the rate for the crops is not high in the market, which means the rate for that crop as of now is less in the market. So as a farmer has no place to store his crop, he is forced to sell at less price. Now if the government helps that farmer with storage facility where he can store his crops, and whenever the rates in the market go up, he can sell and make more profit. For that, we need storage facilities. Most importantly, we have to integrate technology, modern agriculture technologies like precision farming, improved seeds, high quality seeds, water saving techniques like drip irrigation. In short, we have to integrate technology. Right? There's a, let's say, shortage of electricity. We can use solar pump, solar panel, drip irrigation rather than, so we discussed we have to reduce the usage of water. So you can focus on drip irrigation where water is given at the roots of the crops. This is how we have to integrate or use modern technology. For example, countries like Japan and let's say Israel, despite the land not being favorable to agriculture, with the help of technology, these countries have become food or self-sufficient country, food secure country. So we have to learn from these countries and adopt technologies. Nutrition and awareness program. Awareness program should be held by the government of India, and these programs should focus on eating nutritive value or nutritious food like proteins, good fats, vitamins, minerals, etc. Only once there is awareness that just by eating rice and vegetable, it won't keep you healthy, people will start adopting more healthier food options like dry fruits, fruits, vegetables, right? Then we have this legumes and pulses. All these food sources are rich in macronutrient as well as micronutrient. So by working on all these aspects, we can make sure that India becomes a food sufficient country in true sense, which means people are in a position to access healthy and nutritious food. At the same time, people are eating nutritious food, right? This is all about the first article. I hope students you have understood each and every dimension that we have covered in the first topic, right? So let's move on to the next topic now. The next topic is, or the title of the next topic is Greenwashing Guidelines. So in this article, understand about greenwashing, the concept of greenwashing, and we'll understand about a body in the name Central Consumer Protection Authority. Now this is important for both prelims as well as mains. In mains, we have a topic in GS2, statutory, regulatory and various quasi-judicial bodies. Now this CCPA is a statutory body. Why it's a statutory body? I'll explain it, right? See, a previous question was asked with reference to consumers' rights under the provisions of law in India. The key word is consumers' rights, which means people like us who are the consumers. This question is talking about the rights of the people like us, the consumers. Why? Because it is because of the consumers, the world, or for that matter, the people are generating profits, which means we should have the right, which means the products, the crops, or whatever we get from the market should be of optimum and high quality level. So, as I told you, the government has issued guidelines to the companies. What the government of India is saying that the way you advertise your products, for example, you must have heard, let's say, whenever you buy anything, it's written it's environment friendly. Let's say, for example, toothpaste, or let's say you're buying a water bottle, or let's say you buy anything, right? It's written it's organic, or let's say chemicals are not used, it's environment friendly. For example, this case of Patanjali was in the news. It was claiming scientific benefits. It was claiming that their practices are environment friendly. However, the experts have pointed out that these advertisements are false. They actually mislead people, they confuse people. First, we'll understand about what is the term greenwashing. In simple language, as I told you, you must have come across many products. For example, the face wash that you use, the shampoo that you use. What it's written? It's environment friendly, which means we are not use any chemicals. They make exaggerated claims. They mislead people. They simply write it's environment friendly, but do we really know whether these are environment friendly products that we are buying? No, we do not know. And the companies that manufacture products are taking benefit out of it. So, in order to force people to buy environment friendly products, they simply write on the product it's environment friendly. But do we really know whether the practices or the method used are environment friendly or not? No, we do not know. So here greenwashing refers to the deceptive, the art of trapping people, or let's say deceiving people, where companies, organizations or governments make misleading or exaggerated claims about the environmental benefits of their products, services or policies to appear more eco-friendly than they actually are. They produce, or let's say they manufacture products, they label it's environment friendly. In most of the cases, these products are not environment friendly. That's the reason we call it is misleading people, confusing people, making fools out of people by making exaggerated claims that we use environment friendly practices. So they use images, false information to create a false impression. But there is no scientific backing, there is no substantial evidence. Without evidence, without any scientific backing, they simply make big and false claims to mislead people. This is what is greenwashing. I hope you understood what is greenwashing. So, which are the guidelines? For example, companies. Now, who has provided these guidelines? When we say Government of India, which means this body, that is CCPA. What is CCPA? We'll discuss once we're done with this slide. Okay. Now, which are the guidelines? These are the guidelines. Companies must provide scientific evidence or independent verification. which means whenever the government or let's say the companies are claiming that our product is environment friendly, they should substantiate their claim by providing scientific evidence. They have to prove that yes, they have to prove scientifically that yes, the process that we use is environment friendly. Next, puffery versus deception. See, what is puffery? For example, at times they make big claims, exaggerated. That is fine. For example, at times, let's say, for example, people say that yes, our product is being used by a celebrity. It has high value. That's fine. You can use it. But deception, which means what? Deception, which means that you are misleading people. For example, uh, there are many products. I'm not able to recall which products, but they use celebrities to influence people. Say that this actor is endorsing this product. Why? Because it is environment friendly. The actor wants money. The actor is getting money. That's the reason he is advertising the product. Simple. So you can use the image of celebrities, etc. Fine, but you cannot deceive people. What is deception? Which means you make misleading claims without having substantial proof. Accountability for specific terms. Claims like 100% natural, non-toxic, that is, we have not used any chemical, it requires certification. The companies have to explain these technical words to the consumers. Yes, it's true that people will not understand these technical terms. The point is accountability for specific terms, which means here the companies are responsible. The companies are responsible and they have to make sure they are accountable to what they produce and to whom they sell. They need to be accountable. In short, in short, the companies cannot make any false claims without showing scientific claims or without having scientific evidence. Now, for the prelims, it is very, very important that you know about CCPA, that is Central Consumer. See, what is written? Consumer protection. Consumer protection. It is protecting the consumer. And there is a body that protects the consumer, that is interests of people like us. For that, we have a body in the name CCPA. It's a regulatory body established under Consumer Protection Act 2019. Now, any body that is a result of an act or law made in the parliament or state assembly, that body is referred to as statutory body. So this is a statutory body. It's a statutory body. Why? Because this body was established via this law. Let's say UPSC, Union Public Service Commission, is a constitutional body, which means this body was already mentioned in the constitution. So it is referred to as constitutional body. So this is a statutory body. What this body does is it protects the interests of people, that is consumers like us. The nodal ministry for this body is the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. Very, very important for your prelims. So this body falls under the aegis control of Ministry of Consumer Affairs. Very important. Please remember this point. This CCPA, this body is headed by one chief commissioner and two additional commissioners. So again, this point is very, very important, right? See, these are factual information which you need to know for your examination. Now, it has an investigative division led by a director general, which means this body has the power to investigate the complaints. Let's say I am a consumer, I am, let's say, accusing the company Patanjali of making misleading ads. Then this body has the power to investigate my complaint. It has the power of investigation. So UPSC, whenever they ask you questions, they give 2 to 3 statements. One statement would be the CCPA has no power to investigate the complaints. The fact is they have the power, right? What is the mandate? To protect the interests of the people. For example, if the companies make misleading ads, then the life of people is getting affected, right? That's the reason. See, people are not intelligent enough to read the ingredients behind the product. No, there's a reason. This body protects the interests of the people. It prevents unfair trade practices and ensure that products and services adhere to legal and safety standards. Right? Now, this body has the power to initiate suo motu actions. What is suo motu? By its own, which means even if people do not complain, they have the power to initiate an action by themselves without receiving any complaint. This is suo motu. Recall products. Any product that is not meeting the safety standard, they can withdraw that from the market. Order refunds. If they feel that the consumers have been, deceived, then it will order that company to provide refund to the people. Revoke licenses. If the companies are not meeting the legal and safety standard, then the license will be cancelled. Right? So this, all these powers CCPA has. Right? I hope you have understood the second topic, especially about CCPA. Every point is very important for your prelims examination. I hope each and every point discussed is clear. Right? Now, students, the third topic. We are done with two topics. Let's discuss the last topic. Sufferers and awarded. This topic talks about the Nobel Peace Prize awarded to an institution that is fighting for nuclear disarmament. Right? So, in this, we'll understand about the nuclear disarmament and the various treaties that have the mandate to destroy the nuclear weapons from the world. For example, NPT, CTBT, etc. So, we'll discuss all these treaties and the concept of nuclear disarmament. This is important for both prelims as well as mains, right? Important for both prelims as well as mains, and in mains we have GS2 paper. In GS2 we have a subtopic in the name, global groupings and agreements involving India or affecting India's interests. So, we'll see which are these global groupings or, for that matter, agreements. See, a previous question asked in the year 2018, consider the following countries, 5 countries, which among the countries given above nuclear weapon states as recognized by the Treaty of NPT. Once you go through this topic, you will be in a position to attempt this question. So once we are done with this topic, right, the third topic, please come back to this question and try to attempt the question. I'm pretty sure you will be in a position to get it right, this question. Right? So let's start with the context. You know that America dropped 2 nuclear bombs on Japan with cities Hiroshima and Nagasaki in the year 1945. Millions of people got killed because of these, horrific nuclear bombs. In that nuclear attack, few people survived. Among these few people who survived, 2 people, not required to remember the names, they found an organization. These 2 people found an organization. Now, this organization was fighting for nuclear disarmament, which means they try to spread awareness among the world that it is high time that we should completely eradicate nuclear weapons, which means there should be no nuclear weapons in any country, in any part of the world. No nuclear weapons at all. And finally, their efforts, they were fighting for almost how many years? 79 years. Finally, their efforts bore fruits. Why? Because this year they were awarded, their institution was awarded Nobel Peace Prize. Now this, price is very, very important to understand from the geopolitical context. And what is that? That, see, North Korea is threatening South Korea, USA of launching nuclear attack, or let's say in Japan. Russia is threatening Ukraine of using nuclear weapon, or the Western countries. Iran is threatening using nuclear weapons against Israel, or for that matter Saudi Arabia. At times Pakistan threats India of using nuclear weapons. Given the disastrous consequence of nuclear weapons, it is high time that we discuss of nuclear disarmament, of completely destroying the nuclear weapons in the world. I hope you understood the context. See, Nihon Hidankyo, this is the name of the organization that received Nobel Peace Prize in the year 2024. Why? Because they're fighting that there should be no nuclear weapons in the world. Now, first and foremost, what is this nuclear disarmament movement? What exactly is this movement? This movement, it aims at elimination of nuclear weapons to prevent their catastrophic effects, to completely eliminate nuclear weapons, to completely destroy nuclear weapons. This is the purpose of nuclear disarmament movement, right? Now, see, post World War II, that is after 1945, when actually the dropping of nuclear bombs brought an end to the Second World War. However, post the end of Second World War, that is 1945, there were no major talks with respect to nuclear weapons. However, during the Cold War, 1945 to 1991, few of the countries had nuclear weapons. Given the disastrous impact of nuclear weapons, many countries started fighting against possessing nuclear weapons, which means many countries said that there should be no nuclear weapons. Anti-nuclear protests. Anti-nuclear, which means no one should have nuclear weapons. Advanced arms control agreements, but nuclear weapons remain a geopolitical threat today. The fact of the matter is, we have biological weapon, chemical weapon. The world has tried, has tried its best to bring in certain agreements, certain treaties to reduce the use of these weapons. However, because of lack of agreement, because of lack of global consensus, these agreements or these treaties for that matter are not coming into effect, are not being practiced. We'll discuss which are these treaties. And the fact of the matter is, nuclear weapons today is a major threat. Russia is warning Ukraine. North Korea is warning South Korea, USA and Japan. Iran is warning Israel. Or for that matter, Iran is warning Saudi Arabia. Pakistan is warning India. Now let's try to understand the geopolitical. What is geo? Geography plus politics. Geography are the countries and their political agendas. So what are the implication, impact of nuclear weapons? First, deterrence and powers. See, deterrence. What do you mean by deterrence? For example, China had nuclear weapons. We lost a war against China in the year 1962. We are not as powerful as China. So what we did is, we built nuclear weapons. We developed nuclear weapons. In case China attacks us, we can have or we can use nuclear weapons, which means it served as a deterrence, which means China before attacking India would think, okay, India also has nuclear weapons, so we cannot go full throttle with full force against India. It was a deterrence. India developed nuclear weapons. Pakistan became worried, anxious, so Pakistan also developed nuclear weapons. Now Pakistan knows that in case India attacks Pakistan, Pakistan might use nuclear weapons. So India would refrain from waging a war against Pakistan. This is deterrence. One. Second is power. Now, in order to show power, a country's power, countries use or possess nuclear weapons. For example, Iran. Iran, to show the West Asian countries, especially Saudi Arabia and Israel, that they are a powerful country, they are developing nuclear weapons. So, for countries like US, Russia, China, India, Pakistan, Israel and North Korea, nuclear weapon is a very, very important element in their country's national security strategy. It's a part of these countries' strategy to have nuclear weapon. One. Second, ongoing conflicts, Russia against Ukraine, Iran against Israel, and North Korea against, let's say, South Korea and USA. This is actually affecting the global stability. It is actually making the world unstable because of such, ongoing wars in the countries. The Israel Hamas, then we have Lebanon, Iran, Russia, Ukraine, India, Pakistan, India, China, North Korea, South Korea, North Korea, Japan. It's making the world unstable. Nuclear alliances. So what is this nuclear alliance? NATO's nuclear shaping policy. See, post the end of 1945, we had two factions, NATO. NATO is North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It is a group of the Western countries. It is led by USA. What USA says is to the Western countries, you be a part of this NATO group. If any country attacks you, all the countries being part of NATO will attack your enemy. Which means, let's say, for example, tomorrow India is not a member of NATO. India becomes a member of NATO. And China attacks India. Which means now all the countries, almost 40 countries in NATO will attack China. Which means this NATO says that the non-nuclear weapon states, like let's say for example France, right? Let's say Turkey, right? Or let's say Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, Canada. These are non-nuclear weapon states. This nuclear alliance NATO policy allows non-nuclear weapon state, that is Canada, or let's say South Korea. It allows South Korea to deploy nuclear weapons in their country. This NATO policy. If you are a part of NATO and you have threat from some country, you can keep nuclear weapons in your country. This is what NATO says. Strategic dilemmas. The fact of the matter is, having nuclear weapons will give you security, yes, but it also leads to escalation. For example, during the 1999 Kargil war, both the countries had nuclear weapons. Both the countries were, secured enough. Why? Because they had nuclear weapons. But still, post the Kargil war, Pakistan threatened India of using nuclear weapons. Then India also threatened Pakistan. Pakistan said that if India attacks us, we'll use nuclear weapons against India. India said that, okay, if you attack with us or attack us with nuclear weapons, the moment we counter attack you, we'll completely wipe out the map of Pakistan from the world map. We'll completely destroy Pakistan. It led to escalation. This is a problem. This is the geopolitical implication of nuclear weapons. I hope you understood. Now, let us discuss this NPT treaty. What is NPT? Non-proliferation nuclear weapons. Non-proliferation treaty. NPT, non-proliferation treaty. Simple. In the context of nuclear weapons, knowing this treaty becomes extremely important. This was established in the year 1970 with 191 state parties, which means there were 191 countries. What are key pillars? Which means there should be non-proliferation. Limits nuclear weapon development to 5 recognized states, which means as per the NPT treaty, as per this treaty, only 5 countries can possess nuclear weapons. Which are these countries? US, Russia, UK, then we have China and France. which means only these 5 countries can have nuclear weapons. No other country can have nuclear weapons. Don't you think it is discriminatory? Why is it that these 5 countries are allowed to have nuclear weapons and the other countries are not allowed to have nuclear weapons? That's the reason India said that we will not join NPT. This is discriminatory. You're allowing China to have nuclear weapons. You're not allowing us to have nuclear weapons. This is foolish. So we won't join NPT. Requires nuclear armed states to work towards disarmament, which means the countries who have nuclear weapons, it pushes these countries to work towards disarmament. Peaceful use of nuclear energy allows civilian nuclear energy, right? Which means as per this treaty, you can use, for example, uranium. You can use uranium. Now, uranium is an ingredient to use or make nuclear weapons, which means you can use the ingredients for civilian purpose, that is to make nuclear energy, not for making weapons. What are the challenges? Countries like India, Pakistan, Israel, North Korea said that we won't join NPT. Why? Because it is discriminatory. Israel has a threat from Iran. We have a threat from China. Pakistan has a threat from India. North Korea has a threat from USA. So these countries said we won't join new NPT. These countries say that none of the countries should have nuclear weapons. Then we'll destroy our nuclear weapons. They are right, which means there's a problem with NPT. I hope you understood NPT. Next is TPN, that is Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. This was adopted in 17, entered into force in 2021. Which means this treaty, it prohibits completely development, testing, stockpiling, transfer and use of nuclear weapons, which means it does not, allow the usage of any kind of, let's say for example, you cannot develop, you cannot use, you cannot store, you simply cannot make nuclear weapons. Now, none of the nuclear armed states have signed, which means the 5 countries, or for that matter, India, North Korea, Pakistan, they have not signed this treaty. I hope you understood what is this treaty, right? Now, the previous treaty, NPT, allows 5 countries to have nuclear weapons. But here, it says that no country should have. And that's the reason the nuclear powered countries, they have not signed this treaty at all. Then we have CTPT, that is Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. It was framed in the year 1996, bans all nuclear explosions for any purpose. Even if you are exploding nuclear weapon for peaceful purpose, like the way India did in Operation 1974 and 1998. Operation Smiling Buddha 1974 and Operation Pokhran in the year 1998. We exploded nuclear weapons for peaceful purpose, just to show that we are a nuclear powered country. No one should mess with our country. This treaty says that you cannot even do it for peaceful purpose. Global moratorium, it is not yet in force. It is yet to be implemented. 185 countries have signed it, right? Now, what is the difference between signatory and ratifying? Signatory, yes, we understand the importance and we understand the objectives of your treaty. But you don't ratify. When you ratify, you have to implement the provisions. Signing, yes, we agree with your principles. But when you ratify it, you have to implement it. India, Israel are the countries who are not happy with implementing the principles. Why? Because if we, let's say, destroy the nuclear weapons we have, China might threaten us, Pakistan might threaten us. So it would be foolish if India destroys her nuclear weapons. The point is, every country should destroy nuclear weapons for the peace of the entire world. I hope you understood about 3. Fourth is the Fissile Material Cutoff Treaty. The purpose is aims to ban the production of fissile material, that is plutonium. See, we have uranium. When we enrich uranium, it it becomes plutonium, and this plutonium is used for nuclear weapons. It bans the production of plutonium. Again, because of the disagreement between countries, this treaty is also not in force, right? So it is seen as a crucial step to freeze the production of nuclear materials. Production of nuclear materials like uranium and plutonium. Uranium, you can use it. Why? To make or produce nuclear energy. But plutonium, no. I hope, students, you understood all the three topics that we discussed, right? So, it is time for you to understand if you understood the three topics that we have discussed. Let us start with few questions to help you understand the topics. First question: which of the following statements regarding international nuclear treaties are correct? Talking about international nuclear treaties. NPT, non-proliferation of nuclear weapons. It allows all member states to develop nuclear weapons for defensive purposes. All member? No. It allows only 5 countries. Which 5 countries? USA, Russia, China, then we have France and UK. There's a problem with this word. So this one is incorrect. The first statement is incorrect. Second, the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons prohibits the development, testing and use of nuclear weapons by its signatories. Yes. This is what we understood by the mandate of this treaty. Third, the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty has entered into force and bans all nuclear explosions globally. Wrong. This has not entered into force. That's the reason I tell you to make sure that you are very fresh while you watch the topics. Fourth, the Fissile Material Cutoff Treaty aims to ban the production of fissile materials like plutonium but has not been fully negotiated or implemented. 100% true. Which means select the correct answer using the code below. It has to be 2 and 4, right? 2 and 4. Option B is the correct answer for question number 1, right? Next, which of the following best describes the term greenwashing? Very, very simple question. Please pause the video and try to answer this question. Very simple. It's option B. I won't explain this question. One of the most simplest question. Now, let's discuss means practice question. The question is, how far do you agree with the view that India's food sufficiency alone cannot resolve hunger and malnutrition? See, this is the first part of the question, and that the focus should also be on addressing inequitable food distribution, poor infrastructure and socio-economic barriers. There are two parts of the question. First, if you agree with the view that India's food sufficiency, which means India produces food, right, that is sufficient, but are the poor people in a position to afford food? First part. Second is saying that there are few challenges that we need to address. Very simple question if you break the question into two parts. So, in the introduction, you discuss about what is food sufficiency. Food sufficiency, which means that you're in a position to eat safe, healthy and nutritious food. Then you can also mention the global hunger index in the introduction to explain how precariously situated is India. Then in the body of the answer, you discuss certain challenges, right? Certain challenges, you might say that yes, food sufficiency, which are the challenges? First is agriculture challenges, right? Food sufficiency versus hunger, right? Which means you have to make sure that the food that India produces, the poor people should access this food. Then inequitable accesses. Why? Because of poor infrastructure, roads, railways, market access, lack of market exchange, right? And then post harvest losses. That is because of the absence of storage facilities. Then because of climate change, lack of market access, lack of infrastructure, small land holding. People have only like majority 82% of the farmers have less than 2 acres of land. Nutritional challenges. People eat food but they are eating unhealthy food. They are not eating nutritional food, right? And then so the first part, as I told you, first part is the introduction. First part is the you talk about food sufficiency definition and about global hunger index. Then in the body you discuss about the challenges that we discussed. Then you discuss about the initiatives the government of India has taken, the National Food Security Act, PDS, the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, and then third, you can discuss certain solution. For example, sustainable agriculture practices, right? Discuss certain solution integrating technology, right? Drip irrigation. Provide way forward. Provide the steps that we have to do in order to tackle the problem of hunger as well as nutritious food. This is how you conclude the answer. I hope students you understood how to frame an answer. I hope since you understood all the topics that we discussed, make sure that you're consistent with all the 3 videos that we discuss on a day-to-day basis. Any questions, feel free to ask the questions in the comment box. The questions that we discuss, make sure that you're attempting or mentioning the answer in the comment box. Right, friends? So make sure that you like, subscribe and share our daily videos to as many people as possible so that people take benefit out of the 3 topics that we discussed for the UPSC CS examination. On this note, I'll call it a wrap. Thanks so much for watching.